this is item model group. So what is an item model group? So whenever we attach an item model group to a particular item, it controls how that particular item will behave when we create, or the posting of that particular item will behave when we create a sales order, when we post a sales order or a purchase order. Okay.
Okay.
So if you see in the screen, the first tab is the setup one. Okay. In the inventory policy group, you see there is something called stock product.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, you have created the product as item, not as a service. Okay. But still you can attach that particular, the behavior of that particular item can be as a service item, because a service item is never maintained in the inventory. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if you select this particular item as stock, which means this is an inventorized item. So whoever uses, suppose whoever uses this particular item model group, I'm talking about the product, that product is stored in the warehouse. Clear?
Okay.
Then we something called as negative inventory. So in what happens in some business process, you are allowed to update the inventory as negative. Okay. Why we are doing that? So that you are able to fulfill the you are able to create the sales order or the purchase order. Okay. And you are also expecting, for example, the sales order delivery is after 3 months. Okay. But you want to create the invoice now and send it to the customer. Sometimes it happens that you need money to build the product. Customer says, okay, give me the sales order, I will do the needful. But you have not yet created those particular items, and you have not yet shipped. Okay. In that case, what will happen, as soon as the inventory is manufactured, the product is manufactured and it is updated in the inventory, it will nullify with the negative inventory. For example, you have created a sales order for 10 items and you have manufactured 20 items, which is registered in the warehouse. At the end of the day, it will only show you 10 items, not 20 items, because the negative inventory will be nullified with the inventory which we have updated.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So the same thing about the financials. If you want to impact that particular entry in the finance, then you need to select this particular checkbox as well. So you can say in most of these, close to 70 to 80% of business, they select this particular checkbox because it will help them to realize their revenue in that particular, you can say, period or year itself.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Then if you have implemented quality assurance, then you need to define a quarantine management step and the consolidated method for that particular process. This is more or less related to quality management. So whenever you use a warehouse, whenever item model is using the warehouse management with quarantine management and consolidated picking, the item should have a warehouse attached to a warehouse which has a quarantine warehouse and is also applicable for the quality management. Okay.
Okay.
Then this is the very, very important checkbox. So you can say group, which says whether the ledger will be affected or not. Okay. When I say post physical inventory, in the sense when we create a shipment or packing slip, it will also create an entry in the finance books. If I uncheck, then there will be no entries. Then you cannot find that particular product that particular revenue or the cost in your books. When I say post financial inventory, in the sense when you do the invoicing, it will post all the costs to the ledger accounts, respective ledger accounts.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have post deferred revenue accounts on the sales delivery. There is something called as the deferred revenue account, in the sense you are asking the system to stop during the finance entry, okay, and you will select an appropriate revenue, deferred revenue account on the go and post that particular entry in that particular ledger account. This is one of case, nobody uses this one. Okay. When you select post physical inventory yes, then this acquired liability on the product received is automatically checked. You cannot uncheck this.
Makes sense.
So accrual is the finance concept which we have, the new concept which we have which they have implemented in AX2012R2, which means you can realize the revenue on that particular period itself, even though you are going to receive the money in after 3 months, 1 month or 6 months, which will give you the appropriate cash flow forecast for that particular period. For example, you have created a sales order, or sorry, a purchase order today, okay, but you are going to receive that money next year in February. But when the finance manager goes and checks for you can say revenue collection or the revenue to, sorry, or the cost to the company, the invoices to be paid by the company, they can check only the accrual accounts and update, okay, and update the revenue accounts accordingly. So this is a new functionality which is there in AX2012. It was not there in AX2009.
Okay.
This is the major difference.
Okay.
Okay. Then there is some concept called reservations. Okay. We have sort FIFO control, backward from ship date, same batch selection. Okay. Backward from ship date in the sense you can you can do the invoicing backward from the ship date. Okay. If you are selecting, suppose you have you have selling, you have got the product in batches, batch 1 and batch 2. Each batch has 10 quantities and you are selling 15. The system will not allow you to create a line for 15 because you cannot select the quantity from different batch. In that case, you need to again create 2 lines of 10 and 5.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. If you are doing the where quarantine management, you need to check this particular checkbox, consolidate required. Okay.
Okay.
Then you can define the batch dispose code. If you are disposing a particular batch is spoiled or damaged, got damaged, you can do that. Okay. If you want to register the vendor's batch, you can select this particular checkbox. Okay. Then you have no check warning and not allowed, in the sense sometimes what happens, you can add a particular, you can allow only a particular vendor for the purchase of that particular item. Okay. So this you can say check, no check, warning, warning only, or not allowed.
Okay.
So this is one thing. Then we come to, this is the most important part where we select the inventory model. There we have FIFO, LIFO, LIFO date, weighted average date, and moving average. Moving average is the new, you can say new inventory model group which has been added in AX2012R2. And it is basically used for retail industry.
Okay.
And in the world, most of the, not only retail, most of the company either uses standard cost or moving average. Why? Because if you see LIFO and FIFO, it's like first in, first out. Basically, these are used for the item which are sold in batch. Okay. The rest of the items you can do it either in batch or individual. Like weighted average and weighted average date, standard cost and moving average, you can do it in batch as well as individual. The rest, these 3 are mostly used for the item which are bought or sold in batches, or they have a serial number.
Okay.
Okay. And in the case of LIFO and FIFO, what happens, you are only able to realize the actual cost price when you do the inventory closing. And inventory closing is a pretty much very longer or lengthy process. Okay. Whereas in the case of weighted average date, standard cost, and moving average, you don't have to do that. Inventory is always updated with the correct cost price.
Gotcha.
Okay, got it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is more about this one. Then you can read more of the functionalities from the Wikipedia also. They have very good explanation of this. The standard term which is there in the Wikipedia, every ERP follows the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
So this is more about the item model group. So we need to define the item group. Then in the general tab, we need to select a particular item model group. I will select MOQ. Okay, I will select moving average quantity so that we can see the behavior of the item, how the cost price is getting affected. So now this, but if I say validate, this item is ready to use now.
Okay.
Okay. If I go and check any particular sales order or purchase order, you are able to see. Now we'll see what all there in the upper tabs. First one is related to purchase. You can define the purchase price. Okay. For this not defined, it will come from the transactions which you have done. So history, then you can define line, multiple discount and total discount. Whatever is already there in the transaction, you can do that. You can define, you can view the trade agreements, you can create the trade agreements. We'll see what is trade agreements, and there is something called as purchase agreements. So basically, if I give you the simple example, trade agreement in the sense, what is, how much quantity is to be sold and how much price, that's it. That is applicable for any person who is going to buy that particular product. Okay, and the purchase agreement is like that. For a particular with a particular vendor, you have a special price.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the, you can say, simplest difference. If the purchase order is already created, you can simply go to the purchase order lines. If you want to define any matching policy, this is more or less a finance person who is going to do that. Okay. What will the price tolerance? Price tolerance in the sense how much price deviation should be there. For example, you can say the change of price should be 5%, 10% or 20%. In the approver one, you can set which all vendors are approved for this particular item to be purchased. Okay, hope you remember that checkbox is also in the purchase one. See this one. So we are trying to, if you want to maintain a list of vendors from whom you want to buy, you can maintain that. Okay, and I say not allowed in the sense whichever vendor which are defined over here, they are only allowed to use this particular to create a purchase order for this particular vendor. For example, if I define this vendor, if it is effective from today, which means only this vendor is allowed to create the purchase order. How we can see that? I will show you. If I say close, minimize, I go to accounts payable, purchase orders, all purchase orders, purchase, if I select some other vendor, okay, and if I'm trying to see, it's given a message that vendor code 10 is not authorized for this one. Got my?
Yeah.
So you are putting a restriction that the product at the purchase order creation level, so that there is no chance of any kind of mistakes.
Okay. A fundamental question: what's the difference between a purchase order and a sales order?
Okay. Right. Yeah. I'll just ask you one question before that, before I answer anything. If you are starting your business, okay, what is the triggering point for any kind of business?
Any order that I get, the first contract or first sale.
Yeah. So what is that? What is that is demand, right?
That is demand, correct.
Yeah. Okay. So demand is nothing but your sales order.
Demand is
Whenever we start any kind of business or any kind of whenever we implement any kind of, you can say, ERP, your triggering point is always a sales order, which means you create, your salesperson goes to the market, gets the order for example for manufacturing an AC, which means the sales order is the you can say document which tells your company that this is the demand for this particular item and this is the quantity.
Okay.
Okay. And purchase order is the document which provides the raw material, all the item to be sold. Okay. You can go. It goes hand by hand. If you are creating a sales order, then you are going to create a purchase order. Unless you are a purely manufacturing company, still you need to purchase something. Okay. For example, you are building an AC. At least then whatever happens, you are going to at least buy steel or buy aluminum or buy rubber. So if you are creating a sales order, purchase order, you can say it goes hand in hand. Manufacturing, it may or may not be. For example, you are only a company who does the packaging of that particular item and selling it.
So let's see if I understood it. So let's say the business is a screw manufacturer.
Yeah.
Okay. So if someone wants to buy finished screws, someone wants 20,000 screws from me,
yeah,
I will create a sales order when I sell it to them.
Correct.
And if I want to buy steel to make the screws, I'll create a purchase order to my vendor.
Correct.
Okay, makes sense. Let's go more. Understood.
Okay. So in an ERP, the sales order or any other business process, the sales is your demand, which will fulfill your purchase order and which requires the fulfillment from the purchase order as well as the manufacturing of the production order.
Okay, so now going back to what you're showing me, we created a product and
yes,
you said you put in a restriction on the product for a vendor. Yes. Why product is sold to a customer, not to a vendor?
No. It's not we are telling to the system that whenever we are going to buy this particular product, we'll only buy from this particular vendor because he is giving us the best price, or he is the only vendor who will serve us.
Sell that part. Okay. Makes sense. Okay, understood now. Okay.
Or else there is another control. You can